How are you, you?
How are you? Yeah. Evening, fellow Toastmasters. I have a question for you. Sun, how are you?
Good.
So I made a prediction before I started my speech. Was this your answer? That's actually not really the question I wanted to ask, but I bring it up for this specific reason. Isn't it kind of silly that this question that we've always asked is just basically just spewed out as just like very predictive, banter? Now, I have a better question for you, and this is the real question. How are you, you? Now, if you're confused or unsure about that question, what I mean is, how is it that you are you? And before you start, your mind travels to some weird places, I want to just make it clear that I'm not here to go into some deep philosophical rabbit hole to explain the nuances of what how is, or the intricacies of what I mean by the definition of you. But I'm curious about what is it that makes you you? How is it that you are you? This is something that we probably haven't much, thought of. And what's funny is if you go on the street and you say, "How are you you?" you usually hear good. But how are you you? I want to explain to you that your preferences are the prison of your life. And when I ask, when you think about how are you you, and really think about it, you may be thinking, well, I'm me because I like fast cars, skydiving and pumpkin spice lattes, or I'm me because I do my laundry on Wednesdays where I don't match my socks and I love my mom. Like, it's usually has something to do with your preferences, something in relation to that. Now, don't you find it kind of funny that based on one piece of information nowadays, and this applies to most people, that you can make a very good educated guess about other attributes of this person. For example, if I had told you I was in Montgomery, Alabama last weekend, and I met a guy at Hooters who told me about all the things he loves about Trump, and the only thing I was just like, he's a Trump supporter. Isn't it funny that you can make really good guesses about what kind of news media outlets this guy watches, what kind of movies he likes, what kind of car he drives, and even the alcohol he prefers over others? This is an indication that you are part of a tribe or a bubble, and that we all have these routines and habits that have led us to the lives. Now, there's nothing wrong with living in a bubble, because we all do. And your bubble is great because you wouldn't be living in it if you didn't like it. But what would you say if I were to tell you that your preferences are the prison of your life, and that all of your decisions and your preferences are actually not of your own choosing, that they are all an external factor that led you up to it? Because if you really think about it, you didn't choose your family, you didn't choose when or where, what time period you were born, what culture you were born into, or your mentors, or even your friends, much less your peers that you grew up with. Who here has had a friend from childhood that they no longer talk to because you just grew into two different people? Who's here had a friend that you no longer wanted to become a friend because he went through some transformation and he's just a completely different person than when you first knew each other? This is a very common thing, because in reality we don't really choose our friends in the conventional sense. No, I don't think anyone has ever said the words, will you be my friend? I like you for X, Y, and Z. Or we never tell people, oh, let's not hang out anymore because I like you for X, Y, and Z. No, it's more of a natural kind of dichotomy. It's a natural split. You naturally diverge from each other even without words. I mean, think about it. As a child, your friends and your peers are basically based off of the government said you live in this zip code, this person lives in this zip code, and you go to this one building for the next 12 years of your life. And then you have your peers, and then from there, you kind of naturally select who you are. And now we've all heard that famous expression, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? I think a better way to say that is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because your friends aren't just like this external factor in your life, they are a reflection of you. If you're liberal, you have liberal friends. If you're conservative, conservative friends. Your drinking buddies are very much you. It's a reflection of you. There's a reason why rich people don't hang out with poor people. There's a reason why the Scientologists don't have much astrophysicists in their congregation. It's for the exact same reason. They don't see eye to eye. So I want you to really think back about all the major experiences and points in your life where one just like one important circumstance that came up that you were led between a crossroads between decision A and decision B led you to a completely life-changing circumstance. You can really pinpoint that all these circumstances that have happened in your life, a lot of them happened without any of your influence. Again, you didn't choose your family, you didn't choose your mentors and stuff, and it guided you in a direction where that led you to your preferences. We don't really choose our preferences. Here's a little exercise. I want you to think about the most fun, exciting thing that you want to do next summer. Just take a short moment to think about that. Kinji, what is it?
Next summer? Dancing?
Dancing. Was on your complete list of things in your brain? Did snake charming or visiting the pyramids of Giza ever come up in that list when you were thinking about that question? Are you free to choose that which does not occur to you? Absolutely not. And it's important to think about, like imagine if there was a machine or someone else altogether completely made all your decisions for you, as opposed to you making your decisions. I mean, if you think about all your decisions, it really comes, you can't really take credit for your decisions that led you to be who you are. I think the most honest statement to our decision making really comes down to, well, I don't know why I made that decision, but it seemed like the best thing to do at the moment. And if you think about it, that's really what drives everything. So now, if at the end of I conclude with you, I'm glad that I gave this speech. I don't know why I gave this speech. If you don't understand the speech, that is not of your choosing either. I don't know why I gave this speech, but it felt like the right thing to do. And now that you can't unknow this speech and that you've heard it, this speech has consequences that might lead into things that you never would have that occurred to you. So I ask you with one last question: how are you?